Hey there, I'm Brandon, and I'm making responsible choices with my life. See, I'm gonna start doing these things called sports. Apparently it's a mix between fun and physical activity, so you know I had to find out for myself if it's actually real. But I gotta say, for a summer day, it's pretty cold. Oh, that's why. Well, I guess I missed my chance for that idea. Actually, I think I may know another way I can experience the joy of sports while still being in the house. On second thought, I think I'm just gonna play some video games. The NES, you all know it. It was Nintendo's first big video game console released back in 1985. But what I bet you didn't know is that you can play sports games on it. No, of course you know that. Why the fuck? Today I'm gonna be talking about some sports games I found. I don't know much about sports in general, so this should be interesting. Now I should mention in advance that these games I am talking about are not in any specific order. They are just 10 random games I pulled out of my ass, and the reviews themselves will not be that in depth, as again, I am talking about 10 of them, and need to touch something other than a controller at some point in my life. With that out of the way, let's start with the first game. Well, if there's one thing to arouse the American in me, it's Tecmo Bowl, or as humans call it, football. A title for the Nintendo Entertainment System released back in 1989 and developed by the company Tecmo. Catchy. Alright, let's just go with single player, because God knows I can't play with friends. They'll just make fun of my inability to score a hole in one. Also, I don't have friends. Okay, so we have to select the city to represent. I guess I'll just go ahead and match my ability with reputation. Oh, alright, we're starting. Oh, that's me. Oh, I have, what do I do with this? I don't know, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. What am I looking at? Run or pass? Is that a threat? I guess pass? Ready, down! Wait, what? Why? I couldn't even see who I was playing as. So I guess you're supposed to choose what formation to take here, but I seriously have no idea what any of this means. But it's not like that matters anyways, because I can't even last a second in actual gameplay, because I keep getting fucking tackled. Oh, field goal or punt kick? Goal sounds promising. Yeah, okay. Alright, what about punt kick? Yeah, that makes sense. Well, this is repetitive as hell. The entire game for me was just choose formation, run a bit, get tackled, other team gets a touchdown, cry, do it all again. Now, for those of me who suffer from this, there is another mode the game has called Coach, where basically you and a second player choose a team and let the CPUs play the game for you. All you gotta do is pick the position, and this was the only way my team was able to actually score a point. Still boring, but at least I get to win. And yeah, I'm sure this game would be kinda fun if I knew anything about football. During the brief moments I was actually playing, I could kinda sense where the game developers wanted me to have fun. And the music is pretty good, but I can't say the same for the visuals, with sprites constantly flickering, which gets confusing to look at. Plus again, I don't know shit about football, and never will, so the value of this game to me is pretty low. 4 out of 10. Alright, done with that one. Now moving on to game number 2. Tennis, the most counterproductive sport in high school. All of the work and none of the sex. Released in 1985, and being the first game we talk about, that's part of Nintendo's official sports series. What makes it different? It has a cool emblem on the box, and also it's developed by Nintendo. But anyways, this is pretty much what you'd expect. Tennis. Huh. Title screen music is catchy as well. So we start up a singles match, make some single related joke, and... God, it's like I'm actually playing tennis. But holy hell, at least football had the decency to put in some music. It's just... awkward. Anyways, the goal here is pretty simple. Get your opponent to miss the ball. You'll gain 15 points if you do. Score again, you'll gain 30. Score a third time, and you'll gain 40. I'm not really sure how this counting works. Well, just know once you score 4 times, you get the overall point. The first person to receive 6 overall points wins that round. There are 3 rounds in total. If you're victorious in at least 2 rounds, you win the game. And yes, it takes just as long as it sounds. A game between 2 evenly matched players could last up to an hour, but fortunately for me, I can't even make a f***ing serve. Now discussing the controls, how are they? Move side to side, press A when the ball's near you. 30 minutes well spent. I do wish there was more to this one. The lack of music and bullshit hitboxes kinda ruined the experience for me. However, I can see people having a blast with this game when it first came out. Cause what the f else were you gonna play? TNC Surf Designs? That's what I thought, get back to tennis. There really wasn't much competition back then. This was the peak of video games at one point. Terrifying. Overall though, a little bland, but I'm not quite sure what I was expecting. There's nothing wrong with the game as it is, it's just kinda boring. Like actual tennis. However, I mean, if we want to spice things up, there is a difficulty setting, so let's blast that thing all the way to 5 and see what happens. Hey, we have a word for that in my country. Yeah, it's called bullshit. How was I supposed to react to that? I was only able to score 1 point the entire game, and that was only because the CPU got 2 faults in a row. Well, we can try the other mode here, called doubles. Basically, it's a 2v2, which gives you an extra partner, and he fucking sucks. Why isn't he doing anything? Oh, wait. Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure why I thought my teammate was gonna be another CPU. Well, I guess I should talk about multiplayer then. Yeah, it works. 5 broken rackets out of 10. Moving on. Soccer, a sport and video game released for the NES in 1985. It was developed by Intelligent Systems, and the music was composed by Koji Kondo, who is known best for his work on Mario and Zelda's music. And his talent is definitely shown here. I'll give it to these sports games so far. Despite everything else, they've managed to have pretty catchy title screens. Anyways, getting into the game here, we get to choose the team we want to play on, all of which represent countries, and I'm liking the sound of brah. On top of that, you get to pick the difficulty level of the opposing team, as well as the length of each game. I guess I'll go average difficulty here. Shouldn't be too hard. Luckily, I used to play soccer back in my elementary days, so I kinda know how the game works. You have to get the ball from the center of the field to the goal. Those 2 years finally paid off. In all seriousness though, there are multiple ways to actually do this. You can run with it by kicking it a few inches in front of you, however this will make you a lot slower, giving the other opponents an opportunity to catch up and steal the ball. There is also the ability to kick it far away to another teammate or into the goal. And knocking the ball out of bounds will give the opposite team the chance to kick it back into the field to one of their own teammates. And speaking of teammates, you have the ability to switch between players in situations where the ball becomes out of your reach. And while this is a good feature, my main problem with it is that you can't really choose who you want to swap to. I could be wrong about that, but during the game I would try to change to another teammate and would get someone I didn't want, which would throw me off. But besides that, the rest of the game is not bad at all. I actually got pretty into it while playing. And to be completely honest, this game has been the most enjoyable one so far. It's a lot easier to learn than Tecmo Bowl and way more interesting than tennis. It's a lot more aesthetically pleasing and the sprites look much more convincing here, plus the music is pretty good and actually plays during the game. But now it's time to try the highest difficulty and see how well I do. Oh, look at that, I hate soccer now, that's so crazy. 7 out of 10. What's next? Oh lord. Wrestling! People think this is fun. Without even playing the game yet, I have a feeling it's not going to end well. NES Pro Wrestling, released in 1987 and developed by the Big N themselves. Time to see if they can bring some redemption with this one. Oh, what the f***? This is the same title music as tennis! And they thought I wouldn't notice. To be fair, it's the only good thing from that game, so I can let it slide. So we get to choose our player here, and ew. Ew! Okay, the rules here are pretty simple. Beat the shit out of your opponent until they realize they took their bones for granted, then pin them down. Keep them on the floor for 3 seconds, and you win. Now I bet you're thinking that sounds easy. And that's because it is. See, upon playing, I quickly discovered a certified way to win every time. In this game, you're given 2 attacks, a punch, and some sort of flying kick. But forget about the punch move because it's worthless and you're never going to use it and doesn't do anything. Just keep hitting them with the spin kick every time they get up. But unfortunately, doing that will only get you so far. To guarantee a win, there are some other techniques you need to pull off, such as jumping from the top ropes, which is a move that will inflict some serious damage, and always make sure to pick them up whenever they get knocked down. The more they stay on their feet, the faster they exhaust. You don't want them to have any time to rest. Do all this correctly and it becomes less of a fight and more of just beating someone to death. But it's all worth it once you defeat every character and win the title. After that point, however, it just becomes a game of how long can you last as you go through an endless amount of matches with the opponents gradually getting more difficult. While I'm at it, there are a few more moves I want to talk about here. They're not really essential to winning, but they do spice up the gameplay a bit. You can slam their head on the ground, throw them towards the ropes and clothesline them, whatever this thing is, the one where you just kind of throw them out of the fucking ring, and many more. Alright, so I'll be honest, I actually had a lot more fun with this one than I thought I would. The sprites look good, the characters are unique, the music was kinda cool at first, but got really repetitive, and for a game developed by Nintendo, it got pretty violent at times. Look at that! That's blood! I didn't even think they knew what that was. Not sure what's going on here though, but yeah, solid game. Had fun, 7.5 shattered ribs out of 10. Alright, next up here is ice hockey, the Canadian sport. This game was released in 1988 and developed once again by Nintendo, but more importantly, does it have a catchy title screen? Yeah, and starting the game up, you all know the drill. Choose what team to be on, how long the game will last, and I've never seen this one before. Speed? I guess I'll stick with average. Okay, what the hell. No idea what this means, but, end? Finally. Oh, my dumbass aside, the rules here are, again, pretty simple. I feel like I'm repeating myself. Like every other team-based sport, get your thing into the hole, or something similar to that. Press the button to hit the puck across the court, pretty basic stuff. But what's unique about this game is that each team member has their own playstyle and abilities. There's the weak yet fast one, good for carrying the puck across the court, the standard one, who is average in all qualities, the strong one, who can knock the puck far and plow through opponents, but is incredibly slow, and finally the goalie, who just blocks the puck from going into the goal. Now, this is nice and all, but the same problems from soccer appear here as well, being that I can't switch to the teammate I want, and what makes this worse is the fact that sometimes I can't even tell who I have control of. The way the game lets you know is by making them flash a different color, but with all the multicolored characters running around the screen, sometimes I find it hard to see who I'm supposed to be looking at. And this all sucks, but would you believe me if I told you it got worse? See, when the puck gets close to your goal, you'll automatically switch to the goalie, meaning you can't try and steal the puck, you just have to keep blocking it like Pong and either hope you catch it or just wait for it to go away. This can take a good bit of time as well, and in that time you'll most likely miss, letting the other team score anyways. Strategy isn't really something you can do here, you're given a character and just have to go with it no matter what skills or flaws they have. There are only 2 moments in the game where you can actually choose who you want to play as, and that's when the game starts and after someone scores. During this, your player of choice and one opponent do a face-off, trying to get the puck first once the game resumes. Not sure how this works though, I can barely seem to get it first, and I have no idea what I'm doing wrong. Whoa, hey, whoa. Oh, go fuck yourself. So apparently one of your teammates can be sent to timeout if they start a fight. Good to know. Anyways, there are 3 periods with each one lasting the amount of time you picked in the beginning. Whoever scored the most by the end wins. And I don't know what it is, but I am incredibly bad at this game. I lost on average speed, tried max speed, but I don't even think I was playing at that point, it was so fast, and somehow I even got destroyed on the lowest speed. But other than that, music is nice, sprites look good, you can actually tell what everything is when it's not converged into a pixel orgy. 6 out of 10. Alright, here we go, one of the most infamous titles on this list, and the first NES title I ever owned. Here's proof of it existing, not the other thing. Alright, pop that bitch in, and what do we get? Just as advertised. Let's see, bike, excite, yep, it's all there. Released in North America in 1985, developed by Nintendo, and designed by the man Miyamoto himself. Title screen has good music, as per usual, so now it's time to stop talking about the game and actually start playing it. See, now this is a game. Definitely different from everything else we've experienced, but in a welcomed way. The objective, much like every other objective we have and will talk about, is simple. Drive all the way from here to there. Obstacles will be strewn about the path for you to avoid, as well as ramps and hills to stunt off of. Press A to accelerate, use up and down to change lanes, and left and right to correct your landing. Driving on grass or mud pits will slow you down, and hitting an obstacle or landing wrong will cause you to wipe out. Wiping out will cause you to wait a few seconds before you can continue again. Waiting will cause you to lose time. Oh yeah, by the way, you're being timed. See, the way to win here is to get the fastest time and beat all the game's records. Pretty straightforward and easy, but if you want more of a challenge, there is also the versus mode, I guess you could call it. Basically the same idea and rules, but with a bunch of CPUs driving around at the same time. I wouldn't really call it a race though, purely because there's an endless amount of CPUs that spawn throughout the whole track, and also you're still being placed based on time. But good luck getting any records. See, there's this thing that they do sometimes, which is fuck you up. The CPUs have the ability to run into your bike, leading straight into a wipeout, and to make it worse, this can happen back to back. Now you can do the same thing to them, but it's not worth the risk, as it just doesn't work sometimes. Still a fun and enjoyable time, as long as you don't take it too seriously. And finally, there is one last mode here that the game offers. That being Course Designer. Yeah, that's right. This game lets you create your own tracks. What are you gonna do, cry about it? Honestly amazed and skeptical of this being an actual feature the game had, but there it is. I'm making a track right now. You have many different obstacles to choose from, all labeled by a letter in the alphabet, which means I can spell stuff with ramps. Yeah, decipher this, bitch. But aside from that, you can actually save and load your designs, and even play them with CPUs. My course may not be that good, but at least I'm not struggling alone. And that's Excitebike. Truly one of the better games I've played so far. I always have fun with this one whenever I play it. It's really unique and has some features most other games would never even try at the time. 8.5 out of 10. Baseball, that 180 sport that was based off that movie with the red footwear. Oh, what the hell, again? Alright, that's it, no more chances, the streak is over, you ruined it. So anyway, the game. What's it about? Well, it's another one of Nintendo's sports games released back in 1985. There's two teams, one is on the field and the other bats. The game consists of you hitting the ball across the field and running through all 4 bases to win a point. The other team's job is to stop everything I just explained from happening. It's baseball, we all played it in school, you know how it works. Now, take that concept and while making a game about it, keep this one question in your head. How do we take baseball and make it fucking boring? And there it is. I'm gonna be completely honest. This game blows. First off, everything is ungodly slow. The pitching, running to a base, catching a ball, and especially this. Like, why? Every time a team gets 3 outs, both sides switch places. And this will happen 9 times. Then the game ends. And because everything happens at the pace of a cheetah, that's dead, the entire game took 30 whole minutes. 1,800 seconds of... Yeah, and in that time, it's not even like you're playing the game. You do one single action, and then after that, it's a whole minute of waiting. Going up to bat, waiting on the pitcher to throw the ball. Hit the ball, waiting for the player to run to the base. Ball goes too high in the air, gotta wait for it to come down. Didn't quite make that home run? They'll get the ball, I swear. You just gotta wait for it! And it's not like all that time was worth it anyways, cause I just lost. And I just wanna say, the only reason I did lose was because the hitbox on the ball is rigged, and my team members, apparently, don't know how to run. Also, for some reason, the pitcher will just randomly throw the ball at one of the bases, and I want an explanation for it. Also, this game has no music either. So, just wanted to add on to the negativity since I already had the ball rolling. Now, if I had to point out any redeeming qualities the game had, hitting a home run feels pretty nice, and I can do this for some reason. 2 sets of 15 minutes that I'm never getting back out of 10. NES Open, developed by Nintendo and released in 1991, this game was the only sports title on this list to actually feature Mario characters, as well as being the second time Daisy was ever seen. But the Mario characters being in the game is as far as that theme goes. In fact, it couldn't be any further from this series, as the whole thing takes place in countries like the US, Japan, and UK. So, upon actually starting the game, we have 4 modes to choose from here. I'll go ahead and start with Stroke Play, which is just standard golf. Pick which country we want to play in, and get some dialogue from someone I don't know, therefore don't care about. And boom, we're playing. Now the controls here are pretty simple, is what I want to say. See, to actually hit the golf ball, you have this meter and need to tap A once to start the swing. Once the swing is started, an arrow will move to the left of the meter. Tap A again to stop the arrow. Depending on how far left the arrow stops will determine the strength of the swing. But hold on, you dumb shit, because we are only halfway done here. Once you stopped the first arrow, a second one will appear, moving a lot faster to the right. Here is when the white line seemingly placed on the right side of this meter becomes important, as you're supposed to land that second arrow on top of the white line. The closer you are to the white line, the more accurate the shot is. And just like that, you've taken your first swing. I swear it's easier when you're actually just doing it. But for me, it took about 15 minutes and a couple of internet searches to actually figure out what the hell I was supposed to do, and what's worse is I don't know how badly this is affecting people's perspective on my intelligence. Aside from that though, the rest of the game is standard golf stuff. Hit the ball into the hole with as little swings as possible, avoid sand traps, lakes, and out-of-bound areas. The game goes on until you complete 18 holes, which is about 30 to 40 minutes of playtime. And once you finish, you get to see your scores from all the previous holes as well as your overall score. And that's the main game, but there are still some more features offered here to go over. We also have a match play, which is the same concept, but you get to play with a CPU and try to compete for the best score, with such iconic characters such as Luigi, as well as some other regular characters that I don't know, therefore don't care about. Moving on to the third mode here is Tournament, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm not 100% sure how different this is from standard golf, other than I guess you have to beat others' records or something? I don't know, I didn't really play too much of this one. And lastly, we have Clubhouse, which is less of a mode and more of just some options. We can register our name, choose the clubs we want to play with, see our stats and the tournament roster, do some training, see replays of our best shots, change some settings, whatever this thing is, and clear our save data. Yeah, that's about it for NES Open. A pretty solid title, the visuals look nice, you can tell exactly what everything is, the golfing mechanic isn't that bad once you know what to do, and even though I'm not much of a golf fan— wait, I'm not? I did enjoy this one a good amount. But now the discussion about a golf game has gone on for too long, so we're moving on. 8 games talked about so far out of 10, oh my god. 2 more left here, life was mediocre anyways. Dodgeball, the game I was forced to play in elementary gym class so the teacher would have an excuse to beat me with air-packed rubber. Released in 1989 and developed by Technos Japan, not Nintendo for those lost so far. Super Dodgeball is the game where instead of trying to get the ball to the goal, you now have to get the ball to your opponent's face. Alright, skipping the phallus humor, let's go ahead and start the game. Name positions? No thank you, I'm bad with names. Why? What am I looking at right now? Why is every sprite incapable of existing for more than a second? And why is the frame rate choppier than— why is it choppy? Not the best first impressions, but let's see what the actual gameplay is like. So the rules of this game are strangely different from the actual game of Dodgeball. Instead of hitting someone once and then they're out, it plays more like a fighting game, similar to Street Fighter or some other popular fighting games I've never played. Basically, you just need to keep hitting your opponents with the ball until their health reaches 0, and only then will they be out of the game. And by out of the game, I mean they fucking die. You'll have 3 people on the court and 3 more teammates outside the opponent's field, who don't have as much freedom to move around, but can be used for strategy or something, I don't know, I barely use them. The 3 other teammates on the field are the only ones that can be knocked out, however, so you'll want to focus more on them anyway. Now, technically each person has their own unique skill set, but I don't care. Pressing B can allow you to catch the ball if it's being thrown at you, as well as allowing you to throw it back. Pressing A will let you toss the ball over to a teammate that's close to you or over to the outside players. And finally, there's the power shot, which are just really powerful throws that can be used by running and throwing the ball or running and jumping. And now that you understand the basics, you can easily destroy every game. You'll go through 8 different rounds, each taking place in a different country, which is actually really cool. They managed to make the themes unique instead of just like changing the color of the stage. So after you go ahead and beat the main game, if you want more content after that, there's another mode called Beanball, which is pretty much just a free-for-all between all the members of one team. You're all on your own against 5 other players, 1 dodgeball, and the goal is to be the last one standing. It's pretty easy though, I just kinda waited for everyone to do their thing and wiped out whoever was left. And that's pretty much the game. To be honest, I thought I was actually gonna hate this game at first, but after playing through, I started to find myself having fun. Oh shit, I like Dodgeball now. Once you get past the weird visuals and flickering, it actually becomes a pretty good game, surprisingly, so yeah, 7 out of 10. Last game, and I'm sure it's pretty obvious what it's gonna be. Punch-Out, the NES title based on the sport that's just wrestling but less exciting. Released in 1987, and while not technically part of Nintendo's official lineup of generic sports games, is still a Nintendo-made sports game. Confused? Good. Just know if it doesn't have this seal, then it's at least gonna be a mediocre experience. Ah, see, this is what I wanted. Not stupid menus, just straight to the game. Alright, so the rules work like this. You're placed into a match with an opponent, tasked with the goal of knocking them out. A and B are your punches, and you can move left and right to dodge attacks. Knocking them out can be done by hitting them when they're most vulnerable until their health drops all the way down. Then they get back up, and you need to hit them again until their health drops all the way down. Then they get back up again. It's a cycle. You basically just have to keep hitting them until they stay down. And that's how you win. But the catch here is that each opponent you face has its own way of being defeated that you need to figure out. All the characters have their own fighting style and unique personality, which is pretty cool. Upon defeating a whole bunch of wacky characters for about 30 to 40 minutes, you'll reach the final boss, Mike Tyson, or Mr. Dream, depending on which version you're playing. And oh man, let me tell you how great this battle is. I have no idea. Yeah, turns out this game is hard. That's fucking weird, right? But I mean, from what I was playing, it was pretty good. I can't see this game being replayable once you beat it, however. In the end, all you really do is wait for them to do their thing, do a specific action, then wail on them. And once you figure that out, any more fights with said opponent become tedious. Though, like I said, you'd have to actually beat the game. I'm still working on getting to that whole tedious part. I will say, though, it doesn't really worsen the game. Some of my opponents were difficult, and I enjoyed trying to figure out what I was supposed to do, then get frustrated halfway through and look it up. On top of that, the music is nice and iconic, sprite work is top notch, and as previously stated, all the opponents are unique and memorable with their own personalities, which is something you didn't really see often during this era of games. But once you get past all that, there really isn't much reason to come back to it. Maybe if I wanted to hone my skills and try to complete the whole game without getting hit or something, then maybe I could see a reason to play it. But other than that, I'll just take what I have and enjoy it while it lasts. 8 out of 10. And there we go, that was 10 sports games for the NES. If I neglected to talk about anyone's favorite, I don't care. But the ones I did talk about inspired me. I still have a little bit of energy left, so I think I'm gonna go try out some other sport-related activities. I feel like there's a crucial piece I'm missing here, and I'm not sure what that is.